So how do things manifest anywhere? Where did this stuff come from? Is it being trucked in from other planets? It isn't, is it? In other words, how is it manifesting? How are you realizing what you're realizing? Well, it's a vibrational interpretation that is becoming this perception that you have. We know it's when you're born into reality, it's not the easiest thing to understand how it got there. But we want you to understand that things are changing because of your attention to them. So vibrations are turning to thoughts, and thoughts are turning to things. The emphasis that we want to place is upon your realization. So we want to talk about the manifesting process. What is the process of manifesting? Well, really, the very first manifestational evidence that you receive about your mix of thoughts, which is what you are creating, that's your mixing bowl, are the emotions that you feel. An emotion, what could be more manifested than something that you feel so powerfully? And when you think about it, just a little aside, everything that you or anyone wants or has ever wanted, you want because you believe you will feel better in the having of it. Whether it's a pile of money or a material object or an event or a circumstance or a relationship, everything that you want is because you think you will feel better. Well, when you think about it in the way we're presenting it to you here, one of the first things that manifests is the emotion that helps you to understand your vibrational content. The next thing that manifests is thought. Now, we want to be very vibrationally accurate. You have a thought and then you have an emotional response to it. So really the thought and the emotion are happening simultaneously. But we want you to notice first the emotion and then put the emphasis upon the thought that has caused the emotion. It'll be a really good way for you to perpetuate this momentum, because more momentum, then it easier it is for you to continue this thought. So when you are in that vibrational place where your vortex is in this high, pure vibration, and you are too, for whatever reason, maybe you meditated, maybe you had a massage, maybe you've been appreciating someone, maybe you just woke up and haven't done anything to pull yourself down yet. In other words, maybe you haven't done that thing you do that diminishes your vibrational frequency. So here you are, your vibrational frequency and that of your source and that of your vortex is all the same. And so now you begin to be the realizer of the sameness. So you just feel good. And the thoughts that begin to waft into your mind, the thoughts that you begin to perceive because you're in the vibrational vicinity, and so you can easily translate them, as Esther is doing right now with our vibration. As those thoughts are flowing into your mind, acknowledge that you are the translator of those thoughts. As you begin to deliberately acknowledge that you are tuned into who you are and what thoughts are coming, what you'll begin to notice is, Esther's been doing this a lot lately, and she's been telling anyone who will stand around and listen to her, I'm acting on my impulses a lot. I'm no longer writing it down as something to tend to later. She's doing her best that when an impulse comes, when she thinks of someone, that's the time to call them. When she thinks of something, that's the time to put it in the suitcase. When she thinks of something, she went to a house in another city with a car parked in her garage, and when she got there, she didn't have the keys to the car in the garage in the other city. And she thought, I thought about that over and over and over and over and over again. And instead of acting on it, that's the kind of thing we're talking about. So if you get so that you're tuned in more and more and more, and knowing that you are, and consciously acknowledging that you're translating the vibration of alignment into tangible, perceivable experiences of well-being, then the thought process that begins to flow. So what we're getting at is, this is the way. The cells of your body have been launching rockets of desire into the vortex too. Your cells have created a vibrational version of you. Oh, which you are not helping them live sometimes. But when you're tuned in, when you're feeling good, when you're using every excuse that you can to feel good, when you're feeling good and then you're following the impulse, you're acting on the impulse, it's our promise to you. You're going to give them what they want. You're going to give them what they want when they want it. You're going to find yourself as this vital, efficient, good feeling, tuned in, tapped in, turned on, extension of source energy. You are translations of source energy, and the way you feel and how it's turning out is the evidence of how well, what kind of communication you got going on, you see.
Thank you so much.
You never get in your car, set the radio dial on a station that you don't like, and then demand that they play the songs you want to hear. I've been listening to you all day, and all I'm getting, Spanish stuff, Spanish. I'd like something in English, please, and something popular. You don't demand, you tune. You tune to the frequency that allows you the receiving of what you're looking for. Oh, and you live in the most diverse, magnificent, leading edge environment to create with precision and detail the specifics of everything that you want. This is co-creation at its best, and you knew it when you came. We are eager to talk with you about whatever is important to you. There is no order of business here. Nothing is off limits. What you will notice is a wonderful unfolding, because we had this gathering before we dragged your physical bodies here. In other words, who you are, what you've been living, what you want is all part of the vibrational mix of all of this. So together, we're just going to find a way to sort it out with the powerful intention of helping you to close that gap between who you really are and who you may be allowing yourself to be in any moment. Life is supposed to feel really good to you. You're supposed to be having a wonderful time. You are supposed to feel good. But in order to do that, it takes some deliberate attention. It takes some deliberate focus, which means, mostly it means, you got to care about how you feel. You got to care so much about feeling good that you are willing to pay the price of feeling good. You have to care enough about feeling good that you are willing to use your emotions to help you in the choice of thought. And that's what deliberate creation is. So once you begin to put this emotional translation in the mix, once you begin to recognize that how you feel matters most of all, because how you feel is your in-the-moment indicator of how much of you are allowing to be present in this moment. If you knew how much backup you've got, if you knew how many advocates you have advocating on your behalf, you see, we know everything that you're asking for and where it is and what the path of least resistance to it is. We know where everything you want is and where you stand in relationship to it. That's a good thing. It's a good thing for you to know somebody who knows that, you see. But you've got to be in a place where you can receive. Esther says, oh, but Abraham, you and Jerry, all you dead guys, there's no such thing as that. You are so subtle now. You are so subtle. I have to tune myself so precisely to your frequency in order to hear you. Can't you be less subtle? And we say, tuning is subtle. Tuning to the frequency of who you are and what you want, it takes some practice. But it's an easy thing to do if you care about how you feel. Because if you care about how you feel, you're just not going to entertain those thoughts that don't feel good. You're just going to find yourself more and more shying away from them, which is to say shying away from or toward something else. In other words, there's no such thing as exclusion in this attraction-based universe. You sort of kind of get that? There's no such thing as no. When you look at something that you really want and you say yes to it, you are including something that you want in your vibration. But when you look at something that you don't want and you feel that resistance well up in you and you are saying no to this thing you do not want, what you're actually doing is saying yes to this thing you do not want. Because attention to the subject is what causes you to be the inviter, the receiver, the realizer, the creator of it, you see. So here's the thing. Esther, she was so excited at first when she arrived in San Francisco and saw the beauty of the place, until she and Jerry drove up to the top of a hill, and she could not believe the hill that they were climbing. Couldn't believe it. Some here too. The driver was bringing them from the pier, and he was coming up a hill, and someone got in the way and he had to stop for a minute, and Esther thought, this is going to be interesting. He stopped, began to roll backwards a little bit. Esther thought, I wish I were driving. I'm smarter than that. I don't let my momentum stop on a hill. Tried to go, sort of went. Esther thought, it's a good thing this is a strong car. And then off they went, but it felt a little funny. And so Esther remembers that first hill in San Francisco. She couldn't believe people were driving up it. She really couldn't believe people were driving down it. You know what we're talking about. So imagine being at the top of that hill, take your car out of gear, take the parking brake off, and then just for a learning experience, you decide that you'll just push your car from behind, just see what happens. So you nudge it a little, and you begin to see what's happening. But before it gets very far, you realize what's going to happen, so you just step right out in front of that car, you let it bump up against you, and it stops. The momentum was easy to stop in the early stages, wasn't it? But you wouldn't want to be at the bottom of that hill, stopping that momentum. So momentum is really a big part of this conversation in the wobble factor. Because if you are launching your rockets of desire, but then you're countering it with, well, I would like more money, but there's not enough. And I would like more money. I would really like more money, but I don't have enough. And I would like more money because I would like to pay my bills. I would like more money, but I don't know hardly anybody that's got enough money. And I would like more money, but the government is so screwy with our money. I would like more money, but the government takes way too much of our money. I would like more money, but my wife is a crazy woman with a credit card. I like more money, but my husband doesn't earn enough money. I would like more money, but my employer won't give me enough money. In other words, you get all this momentum going until you've got quite a wobble going on out here in the conditions that you are examining. And what goes wrong is that then when you think that the way that you get to the place that you want to be is by solving those conditions, what you find out is when the wobble is severe, you can't. The momentum is too great. You can't stop the momentum of those thoughts, those beliefs. A belief is just a thought you've practiced into a very strong vibration. So the beliefs that you've practiced that match your true trajectory or your path of least resistance, those thoughts, those beliefs serve you and feel good when you focus upon them. But those beliefs that contradict your true path or your true trajectory, they don't feel so good. And we're just saying, if you can catch that wobble in the earlier stage, it's really easy to deal with. But if you wait until it's out there and all kinds of conditions have occurred or been realized by you because of the consistency of the wobble, you see, you get what you think about whether you want it or not. So when you talk about what you want in the absence of it and what you want in the absence of it and what you want in the absence of it and what you want in the absence of it, you've got this mixed vibration going on and you're living some of all of that, and it's a rocky ride, isn't it? So now you know everything we know. Now you know everything about the laws of the universe that are important for you to know. Now you know everything about your guidance system. So now the only thing that's left for you are two important things. First, you have to accept that your emotions are your wobble indicator. They are your resistance or your allowing indicator. They are your on the path or off your path indicator. They are the being true to you or not being true to you indicator. That's what your emotions are. That's first and most important that you have to know. You have to accept it. You have to remember it. You have to believe it. You have to know that. And second, you have to care about how you feel. You have to be unwilling to put up with early wobbles because they're going to get more. And what happens is, oh, that doesn't bother me that much. Oh, that's all right. I don't feel any really strong pain about that. I can stand that. Yeah, it's been going on a long time, but I'm strong. I can take care of myself. It's all right. I'll be all right. And everybody lives like that and so on. But as it gets bigger and bigger, then you start joining chat rooms about it. Then you start going to those meetings with other people that are leaving that same sort of dysfunction. Then you start drinking things and shooting things and ingesting things in order to numb the discord. In other words, what are you drinking? Wobble-free juice. Really? Wobble-free juice? Well, no, it just covers up the wobble. It makes me unaware of the wobble. It makes me unaware of the wobbles. Well, does it help?